Okay, watch the mirror.
Ah!
So, who is that? What does that mean? Welcome, folks. I'm Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
What's up?
We just got done doing our reaction to The Matrix Resurrections trailer, and you can watch that if you like. There'll be a button somewhere above our heads, or a link in the description below, or a pinned comment. Here, we're gonna try to do a frame-by-frame analysis of the trailer for Matrix Resurrections. I wanted to see if I can extract any more details going, bit by bit here. There were some things that they did not show in the trailer that was shown in the teaser.
Oh.
So I'll try to pull up a link to the teaser in a moment so we can look at that as well. So we have a cat, which is obviously a nod to the first Matrix film.
The cat.
The deja vu moment, which is already saying that things going on here in the therapy office is something dubious is going on here. He's got the blue glasses on, which ties into the blue pill. I thought this was a neat little touch with the Matrix coding written all over the city and whatnot. Here, my guess would be that he's being inhabited by an agent of some kind who's taking over his body. That is not from the first Matrix. My guess is that after he died in Matrix Revolutions, that's what this scene is about, is they're putting him back into the Matrix. Someone's shooting at him.
Mind-bending bullet time.
Then he's grabbing at the bullet. I guess he's trying to stop someone from getting shot. That's what that looks like to me. It
kind of looks like the cafe that he's later in with Trinity.
My guess is that he's trying to stop her from getting shot.
Yeah.
But this is definitely him being reinserted back into the Matrix.
Yeah.
And so his memory's being wiped clean because he has the Neo program, and that is essential to how the entire function of the Matrix.
You have Morpheus here.
We have Neo Morpheus.
Yes, new Morpheus.
New Morpheus.
I really, really like him. Like, I feel like he's so well cast because even looks-wise, he kind of has a similar vibe to Lawrence Fishburne. His voice and everything, and his mannerisms, the way he's moving, his energy and everything. I'm like, I'm not mad at this.
This is obviously a nod to the first Matrix film in the lobby fight sequence. Yeah. The rain and whatnot, that also happens in that same building. They blow up the elevator, and then it starts raining where Morpheus is being tortured for information.
Yeah.
I can't tell what that is behind them.
That looks like the scene that we see later on when he shakes hands with Trinity, and then they have that moment. But here it's like you actually see that spark. It's like, wow, magic.
This is a recreation of the shot from the first film.
Yeah.
It's not from the first film.
How can you tell that?
Her outfit's different. The lacing behind her on her spine was not part of her original uniform, if I recall correctly. Just the overall look of it is different. I don't know what the hell's going on here. That looks like it might be Neo on the bed, on the real world bed, like that right there.
Yeah.
It looks like two connected images, like he wakes up inside the real world. I don't know if there's any meaning in the duck being on his head, or if that's just a goofy thing that they decided to do to, make it funny. But the thing about it is, with Lana Wachowski, or the Wachowskis in general, I feel like everything they do within their films has some kind of deeper meaning, kind of like Marvel films. If you take any scene or moment, you'll find these Easter eggs and whatnot. And so I feel confident that duck, as stupid and benign as that might look to us, has to be some kind of Easter egg or meaning. I just can't figure out what it might mean. So in this shot, mirroring the earlier shot that you were talking about, where it looked like they were shaking hands, there were uniform bodies behind them, whereas here there's no one behind them, so it's not the cafe.
Right, but the angle, not this angle, but the angle before when they first crossed hands, that looked like a similar angle. So I'm wondering if that's kind of like a deja vu moment.
Probably, or yeah, I don't know.
Because deja vu is a massive theme in this movie, right? Or at least it was mentioned in the first film. So it makes sense to me that they would have a moment which kind of, plays with that idea of deja vu.
Well, there's certainly overlap, that's unquestionable. But I'm just saying it's a different moment.
You talked about mirrors, and here they're using mirrors because he's in the elevator, and then he looks up and he can see them in the mirror on top. It's just really disconcerting, that shot. And I don't know what it's trying to tell us.
It's a commentary on social media and how none of us are talking to each other, and we're all just kind of plugged into the Matrix through our phones and our apps, our devices and whatnot. That's all that shot is saying. This notion with the blue pill is very, very curious to me because it's making a commentary about us being overly medicated. That's all I can extract from that. It's a very interesting idea that we are continually swallowing the blue pill and keeping ourselves inside the Matrix, as opposed to an agent of good of some kind coming to us and saying, do you want the blue pill or the red pill? And us making that choice consciously. It's like we are just continually feeding ourselves this lie in order to stay plugged into the Matrix?
Well, he's being fed that lie. I presume he's been prescribed that by his psychiatrist.
Sure.
I feel like that's a certain level of control, right? They know who he is.
Right.
He has to take the blue pills in order to function in the Matrix without knowing what the heck is going on. Like,
right.
It's just clouding his judgment and hiding himself from the truth.
Did you ever read Fahrenheit 451?
Yes.
Okay. Inside the movie Equilibrium, there was something kind of like this where Christian Bale had to do some kind of equalization that he took every single day. I don't know if it was a pill as well, or I can't remember exactly what it was, but he had to take it every single day, and then he stopped and he woke up to the truth of what was going on. So my question is, what happened in Fahrenheit 451 that's kind of like that, if you can recall?
Well, the idea, it's been a long time since I read that book. I read it in high school, but what I remember is like the main gist is that in this world, books are poison. Like, books are contraband. You cannot read books. And this guy, the main character, his job is to go out there and burn the books. Fahrenheit 451 being the perfect temperature to burn books at.
Okay.
But one day he keeps a book and he reads it, and then his whole life changes.
I see.
Yeah, because books are knowledge and books are power, right? So that could tie into this, because the following scene is he's going into the bookstore and he sees the Oracle.
He also sees Alice in Wonderland, which is a nod to the first Matrix.
Exactly, White Rabbit and everything.
Okay, that is the look I was talking about in the reflection. There's something that happens in the teaser where he takes a pill, and like that dude, whoever that is in the mirror, is the one you see in his reflection.
I wanted to talk about the bookstore real quick. You were talking about social media and how people are plugged into the matrix of social media, right? And then here we have the Oracle, and it seems to me that she's representing the old school, right? The analog ways. She's reading actual physical media, which is not what the people in the elevator were reading. And so I feel like, if you're saying that social media is kind of a big theme in this movie, then it's really interesting to me that right off the bat we can see that she represents this kind of old way of thinking.
When he's being extracted again, just like in the first movie, they're showing footage of him from his previous life as a young guy. Like right there in the background.
Yeah.
You see it later in the trailer more prominently, but there you can see this footage being shown to him on a projection, on a rear screen projection of some kind. So
mirrors again.
Yeah, in the first Matrix, the first film, the mirror was just a representation of things kind of falling apart. The cracks were resealing itself into a perfect mirror and then became liquid. Here, it's being used as a portal.
Yeah.
So it actually has some kind of function in this version of the Matrix, or this film.
They keep holding hands.
Right. Their love is a huge theme throughout the trilogy, even if you don't buy into it. It's a huge theme throughout the Matrix films. Now, her having the coating all over her face, that's something new we haven't seen in the Matrix films. Maybe she's dying. Maybe Trinity's like suffering of some kind, and he's got to save her.
Yeah, I mean, definitely saving Trinity seems to be a huge part of this movie.
So this is obviously an upgraded dojo. We saw a dojo in the first Matrix film.
Yeah.
That was all sort of sealed off and on a soundstage, whereas this looks more outdoorsy. It's on a pond, so it has even more of an anime feel to it now.
It's a nice nod to the first film as well, to kind of have him go through this training again.
And Morpheus has some upgraded freaking moves with the butterfly twist and whatnot. Again, we're visiting the real world there.
That part blew your mind when we were watching the trailer the first time.
Well, it was just nice to see this, with the updated visual effects of today. That can go one of two ways. Remember how you felt the first time you watched Jurassic Park versus the way the dinosaurs look today in Jurassic World? The dinosaurs in Jurassic Park still look better to me than they do in Jurassic World. It's because of the way that it's shot and the visual effects, the time that they took to like have the proper scaling and whatnot. I did worry about visual effects making this stuff look worse, because it looked really good in the first Matrix film. Here, it's just so much more dense and populated than it was in the first Matrix movie, where you had like these very neat rows of bodies, of pods, I should say. Here, it's just so much more like crowded and dense and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's illustrating how many of us are just asleep in the Matrix.
Sure.
The morphing of the agent taking over this cop is so much faster then because like in the first Matrix film, it was a whole like
they
process,
had a whole...
and then in Matrix Reloaded Revolutions, or just Reloaded, I should say, they sped it up a bit. Here, it's even faster. It's like boom. He's like boom. He's an agent.
There he is.
It's like really quick. Okay, so that right there was what I was talking about of the rear screen projection.
Oh yeah,
that's a shot from the first Matrix film when he's being pulled out of the Matrix. This has to be like in the first 45 minutes of the film because this is when they're extracting him again. They're reminding him of who he used to be by showing him all this footage and whatnot. And so that has to be in the first 45 minutes. This is modeling itself after the first Matrix film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's Trinity.
That's
yeah.
Trinity inside
they're pulling her out, right? That's what it looks like.
If I had to guess, she's being used by the machines. And I think that the mission that Neo has in this is to rescue her from the machines.
It's almost like it's flip-flopped from the first movie where she was kind of there to be his guide and to help him kind of realize what his role was and to, break him out of the Matrix.
Right.
And then here it feels like maybe it's the reverse where she's been sucked back in and now he has to help her.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is after Matrix Revolutions, I feel like this film is going to necessitate a rewatching of the first trilogy.
Oh, for sure.
After Matrix Revolutions, she was supposedly dead inside of the ship that they were using to get to the center of the machine world. And so Neo's body's obviously, he at the end of that movie, they showed his body being dragged away by the machines. In theory, to be reinserted back into the Matrix, to be used again as the One. But they didn't really address what happens to Trinity's body. Supposedly, she just died. It's entirely possible the machines reacquired her body and put her back in. With each reiteration of the Matrix, the idea is to be more efficient and better the next, just like a computer program or a computer operating system, the idea is to be even better the next time around. And so you wouldn't want another rebellion like you had in the 6th iteration of the Matrix, which is the one we watched in the trilogy. Maybe she's being kept under lock and key by the machines because that doesn't look like a regular pod.
No, it doesn't.
And it doesn't even look like one of those chairs where they get jacked into the Matrix.
For a second there, I thought that there were different people, different versions of her. There's a Asian looking face.
That's entirely possible because that might be a previous version of Trinity, kind of like the stacks in Altered Carbon.
Right, yeah. It's just your body is just like a meat suit, basically.
Right, it's just a vessel. What I was saying a moment ago was that the Matrix that is explored in the trilogy, the first trilogy, is supposedly the 6th iteration of the Matrix.
Right.
And so in previous versions of the Matrix, it may not have looked like Trinity. It may have looked like that Asian broad that's there. That right there,
dope.
That gravitational shift, whatever's going on there.
I didn't catch that the first time.
Oh, I noticed it immediately. I was like, oh, because in Matrix Revolutions they did something cool like that, where these guys are fighting with, I think it was Trinity and Morpheus. These guys like just do a flip and they end up running up on the ceiling. And it just was like a cool little effect because you're having these guys shoot at them upside down. There's obviously some kind of gravitational shift here.
Yeah, and then she's like, whoa.
And they showed the agents dodging bullets as well. Right there.
It goes by so quick.
Right. And her doing that rotation through the air is so damn cool, especially in this very confined space. I have no idea how they pulled this off. As a filmmaker, you try to figure out, like, how could they have done this? Like, what kind of wire work they might have done, what kind of set stuff was a hollow piece of the wall so they could have wires in there and whatever. It just looks really cool. And you got dude running right in front of her too, which makes it compounds the complexity of the shot even more.
Right.
I'm wondering if this is a nod to Matrix Reloaded when Trinity jumps out of the building and is chased by the agent falling down the side of the building. And it looks like they like fall into
like some sort of portal.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
This is obviously a nod to the first Matrix film in the train station.
In the train station, yeah.
Okay, what was that? The cafe? Hold on. This looks like the cafe.
I think you're right. It might be the cafe because there's some cups right there.
Yeah. That shot is bananas when the motorcycle's going underneath the cars. Right here?
Yeah, oh my god, yeah.
How are they even doing that? That's crazy.
Is that the upgraded Agent Smith?
I don't know, but I'd like us to look at the teasers. This right here, again, takes us back to the first Matrix film. I am confident that that is not a shot from the first Matrix, but a recreation. of some kind. So the mouth thing here is something that we saw in the first Matrix film when Agent Smith was messing with Neo in the interrogation room.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what this means, other than the possibility, because he's talking to Neo, presumably.
Presumably, if we go off what we've seen in the trailer so far, then.
So if he's talking to Neo, and this guy is a representation of the system of the Matrix, that means Neo is messing with him.
Manipulating the Matrix,
Yeah, he's messing with him right back. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. We're seeing a whole horde of people running through the streets. Something crazy is going on. This to me indicates that we're going to see the people's response to the Matrix breaking apart, which gets me really excited.
Right. It's almost like they're forced to wake up as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a nod to the first Matrix film with Agent Smith, messing up Neo at the train station. And it does kind of look like the guy who was sitting in the chair earlier.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a guess.
Anything else is just your mind playing tricks on you.
I don't know whose voice that is, but that sounds so much like the visual effects artist to me from the first Matrix film, who actually helped construct the bullet time thing. Now, this is the other shot that I was talking about. You're seeing all these people looking at Neo about to take his step, like Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade. That to me is some crazy ass awesome shit. Like, I have wanted to see what the hell's gonna happen when Neo starts showing off his powers in the Matrix. How are people gonna react? And here we're seeing everyone flip out as he's gonna take his step.
Well, they may also just be worried because they're like, hey man, whatever it is, you don't have to do that.
Right, but he's gonna fly. Look at over here as well,
you see
the people down below. Now, it's also possible that what I'm guessing is happening isn't it at all, but that he's just losing his mind. And he's like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna just exit this world, and then he somehow survives anyway. Because in the Animatrix, there was a scene where, I forgot the name of the young kid that Neo pulls out of the Matrix, but in the Animatrix, he's also shown in Revolutions. In Animatrix, the way he gets out of the Matrix, which is super bizarre to me, is he actually falls off of a building or something like that, and right before he's supposed to die, he's pulled out. And so something like that might happen here. Look at that. So look at the side of the building there.
Oh yeah,
that ripple effect.
That ripple effect that they did in the first film as well.
Right, it is definitely a nod to the first movie with just the Matrix sort of falling apart. Okay, watch the mirror.
Ah!
So, who is that? What does that mean?
Or maybe it's just a nod at, like you said, with everything being, different iterations of the Matrix, right?
Oh, sure.
On the inside, he's that old.
Oh, yeah.
But on the outside...
Yeah. No, you're right.
Hot Keanu.
No, that's... Anyways, I explored everything I wanted to explore in the teaser and the trailer, and hopefully you guys enjoyed looking at that with us. Please let us know your feelings and thoughts and opinions, theories in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon, all notifications, vote this video up. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.